So in this next video, let's talk about the document setup. Um, so one thing that we need to go over is we'll start from the HTML tag here, right, from top down. So what's good about what I see up here in the Liferay instance is that we have some JavaScript detection going on, which is good. In the theme, we also have some JavaScript detection going on, which I have set here with a line of code detecting basically if a JavaScript's enabled, we just add this enhanced class to the HTML tag, right? If it's disabled, nothing gets added, and we have some fallback code to help with that. To show you what I mean by that, let me disable JavaScript here, and we'll kind of talk about that, right? So in the document here, right, I'm going to show you, this is the index page. This should be the same on all templates if possible. Give or take a few JavaScript plugins, right? But the head usually is the same if we can do it. If we can edit each page document, head area, that's great. If not, then we need to come up with a template. So first thing we see here is, the script for JavaScript detection, right? And most people, you might think most people have JavaScript enabled, but what if it's broken or for whatever reason it's disabled? I don't know why. Let's see what happens here. On the Liferay instance, we have some, our class isn't being added, but we have lost our menu, okay? There's no way to access our main menu. On the theme side, we have the menu still, and we also have a little prompt, right, that lets them know that JavaScript's disabled, okay, or it's not working. Now, or we've detected that it's not working. Now, this is kind of a subtle prompt, as you see here. You can still get through the website, right? It's not inhibiting them from using the website, and you also notice the menu still works, right? It doesn't animate back and forth, it just shows after they click it, but they're still able to get to our content, right? And the same things apply, right? The JavaScript prompts there. That might get annoying, so we might even take that off, or only apply it to pages where we need a prompt. And we might even see a prompt that needs to be more vital, right? So what we can do is we set our alert to vital here in our CSS. And what happens is, what you get when you reload, there's no way to continue, right? You'll get a pointer event none, right? So they can't even do anything. They can't even click on any of this. They can't scroll. So they can look at the website, but this is something like the form page or something like that, right? So currently we just have something that's a little more subtle. We don't have to worry about that, but we're going to let them know that JavaScript's not working, and they might want to turn that on or look into that, right? So that's the first thing in the document that we'd like to have is JavaScript detection. So here's the head of our document. I've said this before, our style sheets should be loaded up here in the head of the document, and we should apply some of these meta tags and icon tags if possible. It's important that we kind of get this up in the head, these style sheets up in the head, and probably I'll combine this in the future. Actually, we'll probably have two instances of this, or one request. So anyway, we need it up in the head of the document so that styles render as quick as possible, right? And then we have our skip to main link, which we already have, I see in Liferay. The next is our UI, our critical icons here. We use SVGs for icons, and we use a sprite, which means that we have one file that controls, houses all the icons that we can reference. Well, in this case, these are pretty critical to the UI. So our menu icon and this little arrow that we see in all the buttons, right? So with all the buttons, you see, we want that to be visible pretty quickly, right? So on slow connections, it's not missing. On slow connections, this menu isn't missing, and it renders as fast as possible. If you look and throttle this a little bit, you can see what I mean. See that menu kind of lags a bit, right? And if we load ours, man, it's there pretty quick. Even when we empty cache, right? Doesn't really hiccup. The text hiccups more, right? So we want to access that menu as quick as possible. And if you see, time to interaction is pretty key, especially on less than ideal conditions. So that being said, we want to make sure we're loading everything as smartly as possible, and that means sometimes loading things asynchronously or sometimes inline to get those to render as quick as possible. So that's what we got here. Next, we have a no script fallback if, so I'll skip down to the footer here. We have, close to the end, we're asynchronously loading that sprite I just talked about. So what we're saying is, hey, Ajax this new request, and throw it, make a new div right below the body tag, right? And enter this in once everything kind of loads at the end here, right? So we're just not blocking anything. Depending on how big this file is, it could be 70, 100K, maybe, hopefully not. But we don't want to block any rendering, so we asynchronously load that icon sprite down there, right? And this happens, so there's no JavaScript again. We want our icons to show. So this is what loads if no JavaScript is enabled. We'll go over the site wrapper and all the content in a second at the layout video. The next here are our modals. Currently the modals aren't working on Liferay, so here we have some simple bootstrap modals where with some styling that I've applied to get them to go full screen and be more responsive. So we'd like to kind of get that functionality if possible. Right, so it's kind of a full screen view, a little custom button, nice and easy. Right now we just have, I don't even think the demo is working. So we go to demo, we go to a whole different page. We just, a website here, and our video is not working right now. I don't know what's going on there. So that being said, next in the document, let's go here quickly. We're asynchronously loading fonts, so we have custom fonts that instead of using a service like Google Font or something like that, what I've done is I downloaded these but stripped out and subsetted everything. So if we look over here, we do that for performance-wise, but if you look over here into our assets and we go to Concordus, we go to our fonts. So if we were to use Google's fonts, you can see that's like combined almost 600K, right? 600K of downloading fonts. Well, I've subset those, and we're only really loading WAF 2 here. So there you go. There's 36K versus 600K. So that's a big performance savings there. So, and the reason why we use this font loading script here that basically says, hey, are these fonts available? And if they are, add this class tag, right? Actually right here, add this class tag to HTML. And basically all that does is enables our web fonts to load as soon as we know that they're ready and that they're there and that they've loaded, right? So what that does is, see here, it says fonts loaded. And what that does is it gives us that custom font. Now if fonts were not loaded, fallback fonts enabled, right? Which you see here. So it's important that we don't block rendering on slow connections. So we want to make sure that we're loading our content and it's visible as soon as possible. And you might notice this on a new browser or first time going to the website. This text will kind of flash, then it will click over to that, right? So it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. It's better than not rendering at all, right? So we want our content to be visible on SO connections. So that's why we do that. So this is this next script down in the bottom of the page. After that, we have our kind of our core scripts here. This is a custom build of jQuery Slim. So this is kind of a really slimmed down version of jQuery that we use with the CDN. And then there's also our local fallback here, which is important. And then we have a tooltip plugin that we need with Bootstrap. And then we also have the core Bootstrap file, JS file, and then we also have a workaround for IE10 viewport hack. Apparently there's a bug with a sizing issue, and then there's our custom scripts file, which we'll talk about in another video. So we need this. This is important. After that, here's our icon sprite that we talked about loading, and then this is just on the home page because we're just trying to add a little bit more features to the home page here. I don't think we need a fixed header on all the pages. It's kind of annoying on mobile, I think. So what we have here, after about tablet view here, as you can see, we're loading a little script called headroom that gives us this little kind of functionality where it hides our header on scroll, right? So let's see here. Let's reload. You see it fade out and it comes back, right? When you scroll up, fade out and it scrolls back. So that's kind of like a nice feature you see all the time, right? I don't know. I think it's nice for the home page, especially when people are just trying to get to the content real quick, get a quick view. I like them to have their navigation, accessible if they're moving around. But anyway, so that's only happening on the home page. So that's a quick overview of the document. It's important that we kind of get this synced up and used as our code base, but also our template for all other development, right? So all the other pages are similar. They should be the same, except for, like I said, a few different plugins possibly at the bottom here, but everything else should be the same as far as order and dependencies go. So the next video we'll talk about is kind of like the components and our layout and like what we have going on as far as what's rendering the pages and how we're handling some of our content and enhancement styles. Thanks.